And we are back here once again with another episode of the Cloud9 podcast, season 12, episode 2. Like I said before, with the start of this season, when I did season 12, episode 1, going to start doing something a little bit different this season. Warren is back because, he's our resident, Thunder Talk gaming lover, actually.
You're on coke, Thunder Talk. Stop it.
Good Lord, man. Yeah. And like I've mentioned before, we will actually be watching the Esports World Cup because, as a lot of people don't actually know this about me, I really don't care about certain politics that go on with certain people. Like they try to, what I mean, man, you're on Twitter, so you know what I'm going to say. Like
Yeah.
casters being outed as just virtue signaling warriors. Like, honestly, I could have told you that for free that they weren't serious about that shit. Have people ever heard of this thing in life? Like people just telling you what you want to hear. The reason why you guys don't really know people as much as you think you do is because if they were to tell you who they really were, well, you would become a bigot, an instaphobe, or whatever. You don't really want to know who they are. You kind of want to know like the facade they're putting on more. And I'll be honest here, like I told you and I told Chaz, I know that they were being fake. I know that they don't really care about gay people like that. They just only want to be in this because this is the only thing that's in their life, right? And then when there was anything to eventually be put in front of their face to actually challenge, do you really care about these people as much as you say you do
They don't.
on Twitter? They don't. They can't. Now, I said before, I'd rather them take the money so that they won't be homeless or their kids need food or whatever. I'd much rather you do that. But if you're going to do that, then don't be on Twitter claiming you gay this and just shut up. You don't have to talk about that stuff. You can just talk about how bad Riot is at running events and all these other things, Like, goddamn, we're here to play, like, League and talk about League, not whoever is sucking on each other's dick. Like, I don't care, honestly, Like, do they treat gay people pretty bad? Yeah, but look, let's be honest here, guys. So does China. China treats a lot of people bad. No one batted an eye at China for treating people bad.
Let's clarify something. I don't think they treat anyone bad. I think the problem with people, and this because I'm just gonna be really short on it. The problem is that where we live in the United States, right? So we're
We both
accustomed
live
to
in probably the most liberal. We both specifically. You live in New York City. I live in California. We probably live in the biggest leftist states that exist on this planet, probably.
Right. And to go from there now, so you got people that just live in America and they're allowed to do all these things and they don't get any sort of consequence, accountability, or anything. These are completely different countries that have their own set of rules with their own people following. You can't expect because you live in, say, I don't know, New York, that you can go there and parade around as whatever. Granted, you can be like they say, hey, if you're gay, fine, whatever, but don't show it in public because they have their laws. And I think people have this misconception: is accept me for who I am. That is true, but if they have certain laws, you have
I
to
know what you're
follow them.
saying. You're
That's their
basically
country.
saying. I actually never. I'm glad you brought that up. I was thinking of a way to phrase that. A lot of people think just because America is like free and inclusive, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean these days, means that other countries are. And I'm like, that just goes to show you how young this audience really is. Like, you can't expect like Saudi Arabia, Russia, or whoever place in the world that you don't live to have the same rules set
Yeah,
as
you can't. Yeah,
America.
yeah, you can't, and that's not fair because it's just like if I go to a different country and I'm visiting, I gotta
Mhm.
abide by their rules. If they don't, let's say
Yeah.
I'm a weed smoker and they don't want me smoking weed out in the public. That's their rules. I'll just do it on the rooftop, do it in the
Do it
house,
literally in your hotel room if you were
do it all.
visiting.
Yeah, visiting. Why am I gonna do it out in public? Because that's their rules. And if that's
Mhm.
the rules, you just abide by it. The problem is that people think that because they have it here, they should just freely accept it, and that's just not how it
Like,
how
wouldn't
it
that be kind of like, I don't know? There's a word that I can't say on YouTube, but there's a word for that. They call it authoritarian. You're trying to like basically push all of your ways on
you
other
impose
people.
your will.
Yeah, and these people in the industry are supposed to be the inclusive ones. People forget that, right? They're supposed to be inclusive, and it's like, well, you're not
Yeah,
really inclusive, are you? Where you're trying to basically push down people for the way you think, right? Like, and let's be honest here, half the people that are complaining about this stuff, dude, they're watching from their home, they're watching from their fucking PC and their nice air
Hon-
conditioning and their
honestly,
phone.
honestly, I think people should be happy that like like first of all, I think this tournament was a great success. Oftentimes we gotta wait all the way till Worlds for something. And I think that the fact that the Saudis
Mhm.
accepted every country to come there, they treated them well. Every one of the players said they had good food. It was the country was nice because they followed their rules. This tournament, I think, was a great turnout, and I guess
Yeah.
we can go from there.
Yeah, because man, these people are just dumb. I just can't stand sometimes looking at like the League of Legends Twitter space because it's just full of idiots. There are people that'll be like, "Well, I'm not co-streaming this Esports World Cup." Motherfuckers are what? Like they have to make a stand. Like, no, I will not do that.
I think this tournament had like
So
almost
cringe.
700,000 people watching overall.
That's great. Honestly, like I've appealed this before. I don't actually mind the format. I just don't like the aspect that it's just best of threes. Like I don't know. I don't get
Oh,
why it just can't be best of fives. Honestly, you
the
know.
reason the reason why is because you have to remember that LPL, LCK are now approaching their summer splits. So like LPL just started they finished their
They're in that.
fearless.
Yeah,
They
they're in
finished
that playoff round thing, right?
right now there's gonna be games to decide whether or not they get into the playoffs after the fearless. And
Oh, okay.
LCK is just finished there. It's gonna start
It's
summer. LEC is
yeah,
about gonna do winter. Their summer final. It's their weird finals before another tournament, and
summer
then
playoffs.
summer playoffs, and then there's the
LCK is round two of their summer
yeah,
split right now. Yeah.
and now LCS is starting is still in the so I get it, and the tournament I think
Mhm.
was like I think 5 days overall, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Hey Michael, but I think that it reminded me of IEMs. Like this tournament was a decent prize money. I think the top I think is like it broke down
Yeah. A lot of
a
money. Yeah.
million. I think it was
Mhm.
$1 million for the team,
Yeah.
but it probably get broken down. So overall, I think the tournament was fine. I think that you got to remember that right now that they're going to go back to their Fnatic's going to go back all the teams from each region, and then they're going to finish their splits to hopefully make it for Worlds. So I understand why it was such a short format. Maybe the
Yeah.
semifinals could have been best of five. So
That's all I was asking. Is that this is basically just kind of what MSI was, except even shorter before. Just make them best of fives. I don't see why that wouldn't really be that big of a difference, honestly. You know, you're coming over there to just basically essentially play like 2 games and you're out. I don't see why you just couldn't make it a best of five by that. You know, one more extra game wouldn't hurt really anything. You know, because
it would
you
have been extra week. It would turn
really
out to an extra. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
are you
remember,
sure?
yeah, because like if you look at the times, right, for two teams to play on one day is if they go the full games, it's 7 hours.
Yeah, because you start at 8 o'clock and it would go to like what? Fucking hell, like
It's like
12.
six, yeah, something like that. So, it's about 6 hours, six.
See, you basically just want a quickie format. Just get in, get out, no strings attached.
I just like international play, and I think all the teams
Yeah,
benefited from it. So but we'll go
yeah.
more into that.
I'll even I can agree with that too. Like, at least make the semis best of fives. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's what I think they could have done. But I think again, I think they took into account that the teams have to finish their split.
They have to just kind of just get in, get out. Got to
Right.
go back in. Yeah.
Right.
Well, okay. So let's start. We can start with. I guess we'll just do regionally then. We'll just do the West first. How do you feel about NA at this
Did
event?
great. I you know if that coming out of my mouth is really hard to say.
Team Liquid,
NA
they're pretty
NA
good.
did great. I think
Yeah.
FlyQuest, if they didn't troll with their draft a little bit, because I believe that
Mhm.
what happened against G2 was they just got outranged because the in game, if you notice in game three, I believe it was,
Yeah.
they were super low in the jungle fight when they were like I think they were on blue side, and like health bars were extremely low, but they just didn't have the range.
Mhm.
And I think overall, Quad, I think it's with Quad. The replacement for Jensen was great. I think Team Liquid literally just almost beat the champions of the tournament. So that shows that they're just a step above whatever Spawn is doing. is great because I think that they could have won their game too. I
Yeah,
think,
they definitely could
yeah,
have
yeah.
made it even way closer. It's what I told people. It's not that Team Liquid is really awful. It's just the fact that is so brain dead
No,
at
no.
playing any part of the map.
Let me
He
explain that.
griefed he griefed
No,
the game forward that they lost.
no, he didn't. He didn't grief the game. Okay, so APA explained it. So the play that he goes for Sejuani and the ult, he didn't see vision of him, and APA said he would in an interview. He explained like he didn't see them, so he only thought there was there too, and he knew that him and Umpty could take them out. He didn't know that there was two other people behind him when he went that play. The one in the jungle, yes, that
We're talking
was
about game 3, right?
game three. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
like the
the
one
game
in
where they
the
played Udyr. They
yeah
played,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So the play that they're going up back to top lane and they're coming, he didn't see it. So they were calling that out on comms because he explained it and he said he would have backed them up. He wasn't trying to like brown nose and say, "Oh, my." I'm glad that he was good enough of a player, not good enough, respected it that hey, this is why he did it. This is the reason why he did it, and he explained it. Oftentimes, we don't even get players doing that. They don't say why they did this. They just say, "Oh, the
yeah.
play went bad." So
Because it was game 3 at around 19 minutes in. He's just wandering into Fog of War and he sees 4 of them and he W flashes onto Faker and he just gets
yeah,
insta exploded. And
yeah, but
then
he didn't know
TP
that
comes
there
in
was
from
two.
APA.
Yeah, he didn't know
Yeah.
that there were two
I would
people
say for
on the
that
other side of the
situation,
river.
he shouldn't be walking that far. Yeah. I would say for that, if you don't know where anyone's at all, I would have just not did anything. Because what's the bad part about it? It's not that he didn't know, it's the flashing in. He literally just flashed and W'd in. I was like, okay, I guess. But to be fair, before that part of the game, I don't know why they picked Udyr. Udyr's not been
Udyr,
that good. Udyr hasn't been good since like the
no,
first part of the year.
okay, so Udyr on is the best matchup into that can sustain and fight against
They're facing a
Udyr
Cassante that
and
game, yeah.
against Cassante and
Mm-hmm.
Rumble. I think it was fighting Rumble. I'm not sure, but I believe Udyr is the best match, and Cassante can't really fight him. This Cassante has a
Yeah.
lot of bad matchups. For instance, Alawi makes it, but you will never see Alawi because it's hard to play
I wish
play
people did.
Alawi.
Yeah.
But again, and Yorick would
I win.
destroy
Yeah.
Cassante. But anyway,
Yeah.
overall, to answer your question, because I don't want to stay too long, I think on that I think NA is moving in the right direction. I think they performed really well. I think
Mm-hmm.
Fnatic got exposed. I think G2 is not
Mm-hmm.
good. The fact that FlyQuest people always clown that NA couldn't beat G2. Well, Fnatic got 2-0'd. like they got
Do people have
G2.
hope for Fnatic?
No,
I mean, dude, I'll be honest here. Fnatic lost a single best. You were watching this, but remember they were undefeated. They lost a single best of 1 to G2, and they have lost every game since, including this international event. So they lost to Heretics. They lost that other game they played that week. I forgot who against it was. I think it was BDS. Yeah, it was BDS. Yeah, it was BDS Heretics they lost to. And they chain fed and lost these 2 games to the 4-game losing streak just from a 1 best of 1 loss. That's crazy. It's like, what can a coach do, man? Like, hey guys, I know we're worse than G2, but we're still good. It's fine. They proceeded to lose every game after that. How
well,
horrible mental is the team? It's bad.
I
It's
think
horrible, man.
I think LEC is just not okay. I've been saying it for the last 2 years. I do not think G2 is good. I just think G2 gets away with murder in LEC. And what I mean is that we're seeing it every time. Han Sama, if he's
Mhm.
not on like 3 or 4 specific champions, he's not that good. I'm sorry to say that. Like he's not that good. Broken Blade is sufficient. Yike is doing his Mickey X okay, but think about this, right? In the regular season of LEC,
Mhm.
they had heart. They almost lost to like Rogue.
Mhm.
Let's. You shouldn't. If you're a top team, you shouldn't be struggling against Rogue. So the fact
Mhm.
that FlyQuest almost beat them, the fact that they got basically 2-0 by TS is not a surprise. Like they got gapped. I don't care what anybody
Yeah.
tells me.
Well,
They got
yeah.
gapped.
Well, to be fair, it was a revenge match because at MSI, G2 ended up beating them. And that was like the best day that Hansama and Mickey X had as a bot lane. Because I've told people, for me, when it comes to G2, what's really weird about them is that this tournament, they got punished for everything that they wouldn't get punished for in the LEC.
Exactly.
BlackQuest punished them.
Yeah,
Top Esports
exactly.
mega. Oh, they faced Top next, right? Yeah, after Fnatic faced Top next. Top Esports punished them for everything, you know, because before at MSI they had good matchups against Top Esports and they were able to like fight them on a consistent level, and they actually won pretty convincingly. So you're like, oh, okay, if they can always play at this peak level, people have to factor in they're not going to always play at that peak level because that international event, Yike always gets exposed for not understanding when to actually pressure the map. He doesn't know what to do when his team's not in a winning position. If the team's in a winning position, he knows how to play out the map decently well. If he's behind, he doesn't really know what to do at all. He doesn't even know what lane to cover for. He doesn't even know where to ward properly. People saw that Top Esports series they just played yesterday, right? Tien is somebody where like Tien's probably just better than most of our Western junglers. If Tien is out beating you that hard, this is basic warding. He's doing better. Basic warding around the map. That's a big issue. He at MSI last year, he got destroyed by Peanut at what's the world? World. Even with the BLG, he got beaten by what's his name? Zun. Yeah, Zun got beaten by Zun handily. MSI did this year. He got pretty exposed by who they faced after Owner was able to fight him pretty consistently. Outmatch him in most places. They played Top Esports. That was the one time he got ahead of TM because TM was not having a great tournament then.
Right.
And then after they faced Top, who they faced? T1. Owner just downloaded everything he was able to do and just crushed him. Like Owner was fighting him pretty evenly, and then the next time they faced, he just clapped him.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, I think APA is improving every year, it seems, because he got Faker. I don't care what anyone tells me.
Like game one, right?
I'm talking all the games. He beat Faker every lane. He didn't really lose. He didn't get. I don't think Faker solo killed him. I think he did really well in lanes. He like put all some really good.
Game one, he played really well on Ziggs. Dude,
and he played well on Tristana
I just
too.
Don't get anymore. Even a team like T1. Yeah, like, even T1 doesn't ban Ziggs. What does this guy have to do? He beats Faker in a game on Ziggs. I mean, I guess he just has to win worlds so people just be like, hey, that's a problem. We just gotta make sure he's not on it. I don't get it. Why don't people ban out problematic shit? I just don't get it. Like, you don't give Chovy Corgi. You don't give Yon a fucking APA Ziggs. You wouldn't give Faker Oriana or Azir. You just get rid of them because you know that champion affects the map so much with that guy, it would be a problem. Why does he keep getting Ziggs? It just blows my brain, dude. I can't understand it.
It's the same reason why. So I can explain it to you. So LEC for a time wasn't playing Skarner, right? They did he was like permaban.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if you went to LPL and LCK, they allow that thing through because they figured out how to do it, how to play it. So most teams are like, okay, maybe we have the answer for the Ziggs. So they want to see if they can beat it. They always do that. It's not so I get why they let it through because they're like, okay, maybe it's just he's just maybe against only the West teams, like the West, but like maybe we have no, that's their answer. So like now he has that respect ban, right? And like think about the performance that he had. So far his record's kind of is negative. Like I think they're like 1 like 2-6, like 2-7 against T1 now. Yeah.
Yeah, they played
remember
3 games at MSI. Yeah, right. You had Worlds, then you had the 3 games at MSI.
And the Worlds before.
Yeah. I think they still have a negative win rate against them. Yeah,
they have a negative win rate, but APA's been improving. Yan and Core
5-2.
Yeah. So I think overall for NA, just to like stamp, I think NA did really well. I mean, it was a short tournament, so maybe they didn't have enough. Maybe the teams can like have the scrims are, but like these were the top two. These were the top teams that were sent there. So there's really no excuse for anybody if you think about it.
Yeah. So for me, when it comes to like FlyQuest, because this has been the tournament to prove like, okay, was swapping out Jensen a good idea? I'll just be honest, I think they made the right idea. He was playing fine, honestly. He's actually pretty good. I give him his props. What really blows me away is that there are some teams picking Caitlyn, and I'm like, Caitlyn can work. It's just enough teams don't have the I would say urgency is the right word to fully push through fast enough to win. Like today when T1 played Nidalee, that's what Nidalee's supposed to look like. Nidalee is an early game champ. You're supposed to like break open the game, dive, move around the map, get kills, set up drakes. You can't play Caitlyn like you're playing Jinx. I don't know why people keep doing that. That's not why you pick Caitlyn.
No,
I
that's not why.
why you would pick
Caitlyn,
just pick Jinx
Caitlyn's a
then?
lane. Like Caitlyn, Varus, Ash
Yeah.
are lane bullies, right? So you have to. You're,
Mhm.
they. I mean, she's like the Renekton. I mean, it's probably a bad analogy, but she's the Renekton of like, cause
Yeah.
she's outranges and she's supposed to.
Mhm.
That's why Caitlyn Lux, Caitlyn Morg is almost unplayable, and then you probably lane swap it because of
Mhm.
you'll probably be down 30 CS. But I mean, overall, I think to sum it up, I think NA did great.
Yeah. The other thing that I don't know, because like I said before, Broken Blade is sufficient and can carry if given certain resources. I don't know why the coaching staff opts to give that guy Mundo.
Oh, what the moon? Oh, because okay, so I get the reasoning behind it. Like they can't shred through Mundo. Like if you saw, I gotta see that. I gotta look up that draft because I understood the Mundo pick.
Yeah.
But the problem with drafting in the pro scene is that like I forgot if the Mundo came after or before. Do you remember?
Let me get it right now. Let me pull it up right now. Because that was game 3. They drafted Mundo, Ash, Tristana, Zinzao, Braum. On their side, they bammed out Kaisa, Ezreal, Zyra, Rumble, and Brand.
Right, and
So
they
I'm thinking,
went with
yeah,
wait, who did I'm trying to figure out who did G I'm looking at the G that's G2 FlyQuest, right? So that was game 3. So they went with Renekton, right? Now, if they went with Gwen, the problem is they have too much AP. But Gwen would have like basically destroyed Mundo. He wouldn't have been able to play the game. I don't think the Renekton pick. I think the problem is that they just got out. Like the Ziggs didn't get to go online. They had Braum that's basically makes it unplayable for the Renekton and Leona to really go in, right? And then Xin Zhao. So overall, I get it, and it's like the Karthus never really got to go
mhm,
online, right? So I get the comp. I just think maybe I think Bwipo should have probably just played Ornn or something, to be quite honest with you.
yeah. Because for me, I don't really. It happened at Worlds last year too. I don't really understand certain priority with certain champions because maybe in scrims this works out very well, but when we see these in actual games, this shit does not translate very well. Like I don't really see myself looking when I'm watching these games as inspired plays Karthus. You know, I don't even think he's a good mage jungler player. Honestly, he would seem better on like a champion like Vi, right, or a champion like Lee Sin, maybe Jarvan in the mix here.
I'm
Honestly,
not gonna
you know,
lie. If I'm gonna blind right now, and if I would have think honestly they probably should have blinded Camille because Camille would have made Mundo's job life. They wouldn't have been able to pick Mundo. He would have.
yeah,
It would have been probably been Jackson. Camille would have still give them the engage to go on the back line to get to the Ash and the Triss. So I mean, but I think they were
yeah.
more relying on Karthus and getting. But that's neither here nor there. So
Let's talk about Fnatic then, the other resident EU team that
they're
went. I
terrible.
shit you not, people. They're not good. They
They're
lost a
terrible.
single game to G2. One single best of one, not even a series, a best of one, and just have lost every game after that. That's
They're terrible.
horrible. It's just
They're
bad.
terrible. Like I
Noah is
find
such
it.
a fat fuck, dude. Why is he so fat?
I mean, it's good eating. I mean, Europe has some pretty decent places to get a meal.
Yeah, he's
I
been getting
think
one too many of those.
I mean overall, let's break it down. I think that their Razork is just having to do too much for that team. To compensate for like some of the holes.
Mhm.
Humanoid. I don't know what has gotten into guy. He just seems like he's lacking at
I don't even
from.
know what's wrong. He can either have like the best, he can either look like the best LEC mid, or he can also look like the worst. There's some weeks you can tell this guy's not trying by how he's engaging, how he's flanking, how he's just laning in general. Then I want people to understand it was game two where Noah was on Corky and Lucian was with Yeon, right? I told people, I think I told Chaz this too. The reason why he was on Corky when they were winning on Fnatic earlier to split in the LEC, the only reason why he was on there is because you can't look as bad if you're inting on Corky. Corky just is a scaling champion where if you play bad in lane, you could just get some free kills if you throw a rocket here and there. Keep in mind, you don't give a carry oriented player Corky, because if you do, obviously you're basically telling that person, hey, you're kind of like shit at playing carries. This is something safe where, if you do int, it won't matter, honestly. The champion will just bail you out. That's why he was on Corky. And people notice he wasn't really on carry champions at all, even when Fnatic were on a winning streak. Then you can tell how bad he was on Corky against someone else. In lane, at one point in the game, Yeon had 74 CS. That guy had 24. They just got straight up just lane gapped by Yeon and Court JJ. I'm going to understand how badly gapped that guy got. Just straight up, they lost just from bot lane gap alone. Just bot lane gap. Jun, I don't think it's honestly that bad, but you can't work with that guy. Noah's too fat. He just eats too much top ramen. He can't play properly. Noah's just retarded.
That's not the reason. I think the problem again.
Too much cup of noodle, man, will make a motherfucker go crazy. I'm telling you.
I think the problem is that
They're horrible. Did you see that game too? That was embarrassing.
Don't get a hard.
He had 24 CS. The Lucian had 80. How bad do you have to lose lane that bad? I was like, bro, get into ADC, please. Fnatic.
I think they got dove or something like that. But the part I'm not defending them. What I'm saying is the LEC has some bad habits and some bad teams.
Yeah.
Like let's put it in perspective on how bad LEC is.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Lions should have never made playoffs.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But somehow they somehow managed to get in with a 2-7 record because Vitality couldn't use their brains and because Rogue couldn't use their brains that day.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that.
Weren't they 1-7? Yeah, but
They won. If they were two, if Vitality have won, they would have knocked them up.
Mm-hmm.
They would have not. But Mad Lions is now gonna be in the playoffs. So like I think overall LEC has been bad since
progressed pretty hard, man. It's been pretty bad.
And I think also that like people put caps like they still think it's like 2018, 2019 caps. Like calm that down. It's not the same caps, man. I honestly think if G2 went up against TL, they would have not gotten. They would have lost.
The thing with him is that he'll look like that in certain instances, but it's never as consistent as it was. Like he had the LeBlanc game against Cream. You think like, okay, that's his champion. He usually plays pretty well. At least that's a champion he plays very well on. He couldn't do anything. He just couldn't do anything. Like that's how you know some of the Western teams are really not good. Like good in the West is not like good from the East. I try to like explain this usually throughout the years. What they consider bad and what we consider bad are two totally different things. Like if T1 is not considered good just because they can't beat Gen G, then that would mean that T1 is better than most of the teams in the LEC and probably every single team in the LCS outside of like maybe Team Liquid they can play close games against, right?
Right.
But for us, people are overrating teams like FlyQuest or teams like G2 or Fnatic, and it's like, their level of bad is not the same as ours. They're completely different levels, honestly. Because when people said T1, they didn't look that good at this event. I don't understand how bad that is. If they're not looking good and you still can't beat them, when will you ever beat them then? If you can't beat them when they're bad, you can't for sure beat them when they're good. If they're on form, they crush people. How do you win? The West can never win by that logic then,
That's true. But I think overall, I think G2 is gonna make some changes by the end of this year.
Oh, for the offseason for sure. Yeah, they'll definitely make some changes.
I think that bot lane is done for
Mickey X has been. Oh, what was the game? It was against That last game they played against, oh, it was the very last game they had of the week. I forgot who it was against, but he was just,
SK.
was it SK? No, not SK. They were playing up against, I think, Team Heretics, and they were just sprinting it. I swear, Mickey X was just not, I don't know if he was carrying is the right word, or he was just running it. He usually isn't that kind of player. He usually doesn't run it like that. I don't know what's gotten into him recently. He's just been doing that all year. He just nonstop engages when he has no backup and dies, or is in places he shouldn't be. Maybe he feels like he has to cover up for Hansamo's weaknesses. I don't know. But I don't know what's been going into this guy. Like, it happened at this event, happened at LEC constantly. But yeah, there's nothing you could do with Fnatic. Fnatic is just cooked. That should have been done years ago. They want to extend this. Good. They extended Humanoid and Razor's contracts. I'm not even kidding. And to be fair, I think people, that doesn't mean anything. They could just get rid of them if they want to. The contracts are mostly to the org anyway.
I think I'm not sure if they're gonna. Like that might be true. I don't even know what's gonna happen with Oscarin because like I don't know. I don't know. Like I really don't like. Yeah, I can't really comment on those two teams. I don't even
So
follow them. So
yeah, Fnatic is just so bad. Like
I'm surprised SK didn't want to come to the event because it was the top teams that were sent to the event.
That's weird. Did SK accept the money from them? I have no clue if they did.
No, well, because like it was like either top between 1 to 3, because Fnatic ended up I think 4th on, because remember it was G2.
Cloud9 accepted the money too. They didn't go, which is weird too.
Yeah. So like, I think that like I would have loved to see SK, but I guess they're like prepping for. They just didn't want they. I guess they just valued the scrims that they're gonna have and prep for their playoffs soon. So
yeah, before we go to Gen G and LCK and LPL stuff, you know how people kept making that argument, which is somewhat decently valid, give or take which year we're talking about it. The whole like Korean imports that the SK Gaming had. I told people before. I even said get rid of Exakick and DOS, get a decent bot lane. The team looks stronger. Go figure. Looks stronger. Yeah, that guy Rahel looks pretty good. Looks
I think
great.
I think, and I firmly still believe that Irrelevant is the best top laner in LEC.
He had the play of the year, that the Nard triple kill he got after he had outmaneuvered everything. That was really good to see. It's crazy. Are they, because we know SK don't open the bank for players like that. If he gets a better offer, is Irrelevant leaving? He probably is.
No,
you don't think he is?
No, like, cause like think about the teams, man. Like Rogue is on a down spiral. Heretics is a mid team at best. Even with they had that one they had that spring
okay in spring, yeah. I think that was just a honeymoon phase because they had a new guy there.
Right, and
the honeymoon phase is over now. Now like shit.
Are you really gonna leave like Rahel and Luan for Flaccid and Trimby?
Hell yeah, Flaccid.
Yeah, okay, and then like let's think about the other teams. Like, is he gonna go to Vitality? No, not really.
No one should go to Vitality anymore. Vitality should just exit the league, if we're being honest here.
Is he gonna go to Fnatic? Doubtful, because he beat them.
Maybe, depending on the roster, if he sees what the roster is. But even that's like, even there, dude, Fnatic haven't. I think someone broke it down. Fnatic haven't won a split since summer of 2018.
Also, I think, I mean, this is kind of ironic to say, but we can all agree that Niski is like probably top 3 mid right now in LEC. So why would he? Why? There's no point to leave.
Yeah, you would kind of just hope maybe you would upgrade potentially jungle, because I don't think Izuma is all that, honestly. But that's really it.
Yeah, I mean, but who do you? But the thing is, you got to get a jungler that doesn't mind taking a back seat.
Yeah.
So maybe, and like, yeah. So you gotta find, like, that's the problem. So I think Izuma's probably the only one, but that's about it.
Yeah. Let's talk about Gen G and the LCK, because T1 ended up winning. And as people know, I like Gen G a lot. But seeing this is really, really just odd. It goes to, I know people sometimes use weird arguments if their team loses versus if they won. So like Gen G won, and people would, and then let's say they do win Worlds, hypothetically. Let's say they win Worlds. People go like, oh, they won everything. But then they lost this tournament. People were like, but doesn't this tournament count? It's like, I don't know what people. The only tournament that I firmly believe doesn't count is like Season 1 Worlds. That I for sure will never count for anything. But I will say, or as you before, Rift Rivals, that no one cared about winning that shit. That ever, honestly. And maybe some IEMs here or there. If Gen G had won this event, would people think differently? Yeah, they would. I know how people function. They would for sure think differently if Gen G won. Because Gen G came in and played awful. Guys, Chovy quite literally picked Corky and just played Farm Simulator. He didn't do anything.
But this isn't the first time that Gen G or BLG got tested, right? Because we saw at MSI that PSG almost beat BLG, right? And we saw that Top almost beat Gen G before there too. So this isn't the first time. So I think it's just they got the better of them today.
Yeah, because Top Esports, fun fact, only team to take them to 5 games at MSI too. I guess it's just a stylistic match. I think that they can match them up pretty well with. And if you get them, and what's crazy, they got them the first round in the tournament, and they just got destroyed. Honestly, Chovy, we know he can play Corky very well. Just didn't show up on the day at all. Keen didn't look good. Canyon was eating cup of noodle, forgot how to play the game. Lehens and Pace. To be fair, I will say Pace and Lehens have always been a pretty huge question mark. Not like in terms of they're always bad, but you're like, they'll have a game where they just fucking run that shit down. And then in game 2, Mata is like, you know what, Chovy? I know you're a super hard carry player. You can have Way. Chovy does not play Way well at all. Probably one of his worst champions, for being honest here. I saw him pick Way, and I was like, yep, you guys can just go home. Just go home. This is awful. This is bad. This is really bad. For T1 at the event, I think if I'm going to talk about T1, Zeus didn't play all that well at the event, honestly. You know, he looked good when he chose very top. He looked good then, but there were games where he played of Cassante. There was that Aatrox game where they counter picked for Aatrox. That looked awful, honestly. I really don't know, like, what was up with this guy's mindset for the event. I really just didn't understand it, because one of the games they counterpicked for Aatrox, he looked awful in. The Cassante games weren't great. The other games where he was playing the other top laners at the tournament looked okay, honestly. You know, like they looked fine for the most part. You know.
Oh, Chaz in the chat.
What's up, Chaz? How you doing, man? Like Baker overextended at certain points of the game. I don't think he played horrible at the event. I don't think he played bad, but he didn't play like great. He played fine. I think Gumayusi played all right. I don't think T1 really had a good showing until specifically today. Yeah, you can call it ramping up. I don't know. People like it. Historically, yes, they have ramped up throughout events. Yeah, that is a common thing amongst this org in particular.
I will say
I don't think they played great. Dude, that game against Team Liquid, you were talking about game 2, they got out macroed. Not if Team Liquid weren't bad at just macro, they have a chance in that game to come back.
Honestly. They would have been in the finals.
Yeah, there's a potential world where, you know, Team Liquid was just the thing that loses for them, macro, certain points of the game, certain parts of the game, you need to be able to make sure you know what you're doing. If they had lost all their structures, and I think game 2, I'm not saying they would have won. They would look a lot closer. Because remember, they aced them when they got the Baron. Remember Zeus TP'd in on Cassante and he won the game for them? They lost that team fight, honestly. They lost that team fight specifically.
Yeah, I think T1's gonna have if Spawn, like I said, whatever Spawn is doing is working. I believe that the thing is about the Korean teams, after like a group stage and they get like a week to prepare, they always do much better. If you've ever noticed that. So, and I think that the fact that this tournament was back to back every day, the preparation, you only get like maybe a few hours of scrim and you got to get food and all that stuff. So that might have played a factor, but still, I don't think that's too big of a factor. I think it's just they didn't perform well on the day. So, that will that will bypass another day. I think overall
All roads lead back to Faker.
overall I think LCK did fine. No,
Yeah, T1 did fine. Gen G did
T1
terrible.
T1 did fine. TS got some stuff to clean up. People have to realize this is Cream's first year on TS. This guy is not Knight. This guy's not. This guy's known for playing assassins. That's what he made his name off of. He's kind of like a
Hmm.
think of him as the Asian leader. Basically, he was known for Kiana, Akali, Silas, those types of tunes, right? So he's trying to change the narrative, and I think he did. I mean, think about who he beat to get there, right? He beat Chovy, right? And then who did they beat in the semifinals? They
Who did
beat
they play? Fucking hell. They played, good lord, G2. Yeah.
they
He
beat so
played,
he beat
he,
Cat.
he
Yeah,
handled, he
yeah,
beat Caps pretty bad. Yeah, I
yeah. He
was,
beat Caps and
yeah.
he beat like not many people can say they beat Caps and they beat Chovy.
He matched up into Faker pretty well. The only, because I
Eh,
kind of expected him to just be at MSI and just kind of choke out. He didn't even really choke out. I think he just picked a call. He picked his main champion, which is Kali, in the most crucial games to win, and he lost. And people were like, is this guy really all that great? And I was like, no. I don't think he was bad. He just messed up in crucial moments. If a player like that is having some nerve issues, I wouldn't give him his best champion. Obviously, in the most crucial games to win, he's got to be on something safe. But they didn't. They listened to him and had him pick a call, and they lost to Gen G. But they got their revenge against Gen G earlier this week, and he played pretty well.
yeah, I think he played overall.
He
Like I
played
said,
pretty well, honestly. I mean, I wouldn't. I know right now the meta is Corki and Tristana. I think Tristana gets the better of the
well,
matchup anyway most of the time. I
I,
don't know why
I'll
he
tell
picked
you.
Yone.
I'll tell
He
you the
picked
meta. I'll tell you the meta. It's Lucian, Corki, Trist, Azir, Talia, um, and Yone. It's mostly AD mids because the reason why is because
yeah.
they
Mhm.
get so much lane prio, and the fact that they can demolish procs, and the fact that the items are really the crit items. The buff went over the top, so that's why. Remember, you saw today Yasuo got played. So 80 mids are the way to go right now.
Crazy.
So that's
Yeah.
why.
Because I mean, like you know how fans are always like, "Well, I'm tired of seeing mages riot." Here you go, something different. Now I'm tired of seeing people just gonna be tired of anything, no matter what. It's some people fucking function these days, you know.
Yeah. So
I remember game one specifically. I remember they beat them pretty hard. Game one, I remember he got that solo kill on Faker. He was playing Tristana. I don't I don't know, man. I always feel like when I'm watching these games, Tristana gets the better part of the matchups every single time. Like maybe I'm just crazy, you know.
I
Maybe
mean,
I'm
I think he hit
insane.
level. I think he hit level. I think he no he out. I think he outplayed it. Wasn't he on Corky or was he on Tristana? Oh no,
No,
he was.
game one, Cream was on
Yeah,
Tristana.
Cream was on Tristana. I think Cream. Well, Cream has been known for his Tristana in LPL, so it wasn't a surprise that he got the solo kill. Um, and people gotta
Yeah,
realize that Faker is more of Faker is not the same Faker, right? He's more of like a conductor now. Like he's like telling people he's not making these like caps plays. He's making like just smart plays. So that's what
yeah.
people need to understand. It's not that he's bad. It's just like think of
He doesn't
like
shine
look
in
at the
this meta. It's just that's really what it is.
yeah like let's be for real. Like Impact to me was the second best top laner this tournament. I
Impact,
mean,
impact. I think 369 was probably the only better one than him, right?
yeah, 36. Like, think about that.
This is
Impact.
it's crazy how Top Esports can't win, and this 369. I feel so bad for him. He can't do anything, man.
Yeah,
He's not
yeah,
allowed to win anymore.
yeah. 369. Like, if think about what we're about to say. Like 369 and Impact were the best top laners. Like, because remember, Ben got knocked out, King got knocked
Now,
out,
bro, there's Adam.
uh,
Oh
Oscarin.
shit. Okay, fuck
Scary.
off. Just
That's
stop. Just L.
so like you gotta realize that like
Oscar in with his great Orin plays that he's got going
and,
on.
remember Impact's like 20, about to turn 29. Faker's
He's fucking 30?
26.
Holy
So
shit. That's
like
crazy.
he's still playing good. So I mean, I think this whole age thing is being debunked with like cuz like on paper, like think about it, MSK. If I
Mhm.
told you T1 versus TL on paper, you didn't see these games. Who do you think's getting gapped in the top lane? You think Impact's gonna get gapped by Zeus?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, usually, but that wasn't the case. Like, so, I think it's all about like how I think NA
I
is doing
think
well.
he specifically played. He played badly in that Udyr game, but I don't understand why they picked that for him. It wasn't like he
The,
was shining on Rumble in that other game either. You
me,
know, every
I would have put
other game he was fine. Yeah.
Impact on Gangplank, to be quite honest with you, because his Gangplank is really
That'd been
clean.
fine. Imagine a game like that where a Gangplank ult is in the Baron pit when they're fighting.
Oh my god, and Gangplank
There's a good
scales, and
chance game turns. Yeah,
and
yeah.
so I would have put him on Gangplank, but because you could put Gangplank with like an item can clear the waves, and if you lane swap, he'll be fine. So I don't know what the logic was. I mean, I guess because they're gonna skirmish, so that's why they went with the Udyr. But
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I think LPL underperformed because I think BLG. Um,
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah, go ahead.
T1, specifically at this event, would mess up basic dives. Like they're not. Are you sure they're not? Like I mean, we know they're better than this. They're not tracking that he has his Ash arrow up and he's gonna fire it right there. This is constantly. They've actually been doing this a lot. They've been messing up their dives, kind of playing with their food more. This is a saying people use. You know, been doing that a lot. Honestly, they did a lot in this series too. I mean, I just don't get it. Maybe they think that they're good enough to just play out any situation possible. You know, he even just went in right here and just killed him again. Like, this is just overcommitting. I just don't. Why did you do this? I just don't
I think
understand why he wouldn't just go for that. And they know the top Esports is stronger on the map at this moment.
I don't know why either. I think it's just they weren't
Like they
respecting.
know they're stronger in this moment. They're not.
I don't think.
They don't see the kill score on their tab. Holy shit, we're losing this game. We probably shouldn't fight this guy. Oh, L, we lost. Shit. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. So
The Nidalee game. The Nidalee game is good. I thought the 369 flank on Renang that was good. He ended up getting a. That's weird how they're that far ahead and 369 can flank them and just get a quadra kill. That's okay, I guess.
I mean, 369. I firmly believe that 369 is the best top laner in the world.
Do you think he's so fine?
Oh, he's fine. Like the thing about 369 is that think about this. Every team 369 has gone on has either made it to MSI or made it to Worlds.
Same thing with Ben too. For some reason, those guys just make teams better. That's just good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like I think personally, if Cream can just up his game up just a little bit, I think that this team could possibly win Worlds.
There's a good chance. There's a very good chance. Like if people think T1 has a chance at winning Worlds after winning this today, I would say top esports definitely deserve to be in top 4 conversation. Do they not? After this? I was going to ask you, how do you feel about TN's performance? I thought he played pretty good at this event for the most part.
I think he played pretty good. I think the thing is that the problem is that there's no other jungler to challenge Sejuani. That's the problem.
Mm.
Can you legitimately think of a tank jungler that challenges Sejuani? It's
The only
hard.
one you're getting out of that is maybe like what Gragas, maybe potentially.
Yeah, but even
Maybe.
then, Gragas would go AP. He wouldn't go tank because he's useless as
Yeah.
So unless you're gonna,
Lax, what's up, man?
unless
T1
you're gonna put,
winning Worlds. Oh fuck, god damn.
You need to stop the copium, kid. Stop it.
All roads
Stop.
lead back to Faker again. I'll be honest here. It doesn't matter if either Gen G or T1 win Worlds, whoever a random LCK team wins Worlds. If the LCK wins Worlds, doesn't matter if it's Gen G or T1. That means the LCK have won every single event this year. They're just fucking Korean his league right now these
But
days. It's
I mean,
crazy at this
but
point, man.
I'm. It's nice to see that NA was challenging them. I think the thing is for I think T1 needs to figure out what they want to do with Zeus and then what they want to do with Pays and how an owner's like real role, right? Because one game you got owner playing a carry like Nidalee, but then the next game you have him on Sejuani duty, and then one game you have if you have Zeus playing TF, and then you decide okay we're gonna put him on Cassante, and it looks so disjointed. Like even when he was playing Zeri, he almost got solo killed by Impact on Cassante, and that's
The
not how
only
that's supposed to.
champion he looked good on was Zeri. When he picked Zeri top, and you know he would do that. He picked Vayne top, so it's not too far out of the realm he would do something crazy like that. But it's weird that the only champion he really looked sufficiently good on top lane for Zeus was Zeri. That's
Yeah,
weird. Like, and he's had these issues all year. Like, dude, it was one of the maybe it was the TL game. I don't know which one it was, but they counterpicked him Aatrox. I'm saying right now, you do not pick Aatrox in this meta. Do not do that because that's what happens. You get bent over and fisted like he did in that game. Why would anybody pick Aatrox when there's Varus, Zeri, Vayne, Cassante,
uh,
Rumble open? They
uh,
never do that right now. You
I
know,
can tell you, I can
you said
tell you,
earlier, Camille. Fuck, you know that can work.
listen, I can tell you why you don't go. Okay, so Varus is a special situation.
Yeah.
If Varus doesn't get ahead, he's just gonna get ganked because he goes flash barrier, or he goes flash
Mhm.
TP, and he's not very mobile, right? So he needs to get ahead. And Varus is like one of those niche picks. I mean, I think the problem with top lane right now is that range isn't
Mhm.
getting punished. Like think about what's in the top lane that like outside of Rumble and Cassante and maybe like Zac, like
Mhm.
if you play anything else, you're kind of effed, and maybe Jax, you're effed because you have
Mhm.
no way to get on it to somebody.
Yeah. God, man, it's just Kastante supremacy. That's all it is. Black
Two
men
year,
winning.
but
It's
by
weird
the
how
way,
the best top laner is a black man.
two 2 years now. He's pick or ban from since 2022. Now think about that. That this champions pick or bans for the past 2 years.
I know people say this champion's not really that good, but when something is this powerful that's been this good for a while, I just think to myself, damn, maybe people say, well, in solo queue, of course it doesn't work in solo queue. Nothing works in solo queue. You're playing with a bunch of fucking losers. Of course it doesn't work there.
Well, I wouldn't say it doesn't because think about it this way, right? Before Maokai got popular at Worlds, Maokai was jungle was on the rise and Zyra jungle was like Zyra. The problem is what I've mentioned this before on your stream is that they are so rigid that they don't want to try new things. Like people, call me an Adam fanboy, whatever, but I respect Adam because he's willing to bring out the Darius, the Olaf, the Garen against people where somebody would have just like picked Renekton or picked, something regular instead of picking the picks that get you the.
No, because I think what we were saying earlier. Yeah, for it's weird that they want owner to just be a role player and then they'll give him a champion like Nidalee just carries an entire game. It's like, oh, okay, it's one of these things where it's gonna be if T1 do well at Worlds coming up this year, where they make like top four or they might make the finals because some reason in Faker he just always seems to win. Who do you change out of the roster? Do you just change Zeus? Do you just change your top side?
I
Do
mean,
you change the bot side? The bot side's always been this might be the hardest offseason for them ever. There's not in theory, Zeus might be the only person you change up, but Gumius and Carrier are just fine. They're really good together.
you probably
Owner
change
is a
out.
great role player. You only
I
should change
think
out one person, right?
you probably change out. You probably me if I was. I would try to Me personally, I would try
Mhm.
to get 369.
You think they would just open the bank for him?
I
Just
would open.
here.
Who beat? But like, think about it. Who beats that team if they have 369 Faker in the mid? Like, who beats that team if
Yeah,
three
because
six?
I'm thinking to myself, what changes would they have to make other than like, okay, Zeus, time's up. But owner's been honestly, he's had some streaky parts to his career, but he's overall been very good and very consistent. There's not many better ADCs than Gumi see maybe outside of like Viper, and that's like very minuscule in terms of like upgrades. There's not many better supports than Carrier. And even if you do get better than those two, it's very minuscule anyway. It's at that point you're like, why make the upgrade? And then Faker is they're not ever changing him. He's staying on here until he's dead, possibly. He'll literally be a grandpa still playing in this org, honestly. So that's never changing. Oh God. Yeah, I guess you just change top lane. That's really just all it is. And like I said before, I saw like various because like one in theory they'd be making a downgrade if they change him to like who are you getting? Just a random unknown, unless you're getting a
Unless
solid role player
unless
like Impact, but it's not gonna
unless
happen either.
unless you get like some up and coming guy, or like the only other possible top lane, I think you would probably get a China. I think maybe Zika that from LNG. He played pretty good, and he's a good top laner.
Yeah. So overall for the Esports World Cup, yeah, T1 wins it again. LCK just dominates everybody. This is how it works, It's just all roads lead back to Faker and Chovy just didn't show up on the day at all, guys. He just played really bad. There's nothing I can really say. I mean, he's just played awful. He just went in, played Farm Simulator, didn't even try to play the game. He just didn't do anything. That's just embarrassing, honestly.
He probably was on his chance. They didn't prepare. I mean, I'm not gonna give them an excuse. They lost, and it happens. And I
Oh, you
mean,
talk about BLG. How'd you know BLG? Because obviously people were like Gen G, BLG rematch or initial predictions.
oh, underperformed.
You've been watching BLG this past split, right?
Yeah.
I've seen a few other games. Is not having an off split to you?
A little bit, but I think it's because of the fearless format.
Bro, yeah.
Remember they went through that format for like six. I think it was like 6 or 7 games, 6 games,
Mhm.
and
Do you like Fearless Draft? I
it's
don't know.
interesting. It's only best of threes, and it's I think it's good because
Mhm.
there's, like I said, I think the problem with the pro scene is that they're so rigid. Like, you're never gonna see, like, for instance, right?
Yeah,
You don't see Seraphine, and I think Seraphine's great.
I think
Like
Seraphine's great too.
like
Yeah.
like 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 think about if you had Seraphine and Ivern. You don't beat that team, by the way, if the game goes. No, like, how do you break through both of those shields? Seraphine's
Mhm.
dropping a huge shield, and Ivern's dropping another shield. But these are like comps that you won't see because they won't. The champions that are good in the meta guarantee you are such power picks, and people aren't want to risk it. And then with lane swaps and everything, they don't want to risk it. So I get it, but I think BLG kind of underperformed, Gen G underperformed, and it could be a comp. Remember, this is the first of its event. This Esports World Cup, like, this is the first ever.
Well, I would say the way that I would tackle it is like a team like Gen G and BLG. They're probably winning all the scrims. We're being honest here. They're probably doing the like they've won consistently a lot. BLG just recently won LPL. They got second place at MSI 2 years in a row. They did well at Worlds. Actually, they got top four, and they made the one upgrade obviously between Yao and Knight. It's like you get at a certain point where you're already really good. How much more do you improve? The only way to really improve is that the other teams below you improve. But that's like how often do you bet on that happening? Like, do you think
Um,
the LPL is weaker
no,
this
no,
year? No, I think
no, I mean,
Esports is their best competition. I think JDG is a weird team. It's a weird thing to watch.
Ninja and Pajamas is
Just
getting up
solid,
there.
yeah.
The solid.
FPX is they still have
FP
Milky Way. That's basically just Milky Way Turbo. That's literally what that team
um,
is.
you still got um I believe RA is starting to look a little bit better. I think
Anyone's
the
Legend has looked pretty solid this split,
Yeah,
I would say.
so I think there's teams on the rise. So, and LNG was like getting it back together. Weibo was even getting it back together. So I think there's plenty of teams to compete. It's just how they play their style. But I don't.
Mhm.
I think it's more or less like, in order for them to win the whole tournament for, like, say, Worlds BLG, they literally have to play. They can't have a bad day of games. Like what I
Yeah,
mean is
yeah,
like
yeah.
they have
Mhm.
like they gotta like come out and show that even if they're behind, they gotta win. Because like you said, they can't upgrade. Like Elk and Crisp is one of the best bot lanes. Knight is one of the, like the best mids in the world. Bin is
Yeah, you
one of the
can't really
best.
get much better than
Z-
Elk and
Z-
On. You
Jun is
know?
Jun is again top jungler in the world. So like you
Yeah.
can't like none of the positions you can really get better in. So because you'd be either side grading or changing your whole strat. So I agree with you. I don't really. I think it's more of a fine tuning other stuff.
I think also other TMs. Oh my god, I'm black. I can't fucking read or speak. I think another problem with this year specifically, other teams are just been badly GM'd. Like players on rosters paired with certain players that just don't make any sense at all. Really, I think that's why this year specifically has looked really bad. You have just this is an LPL. That's all a region issue. Like players are like just look at Rogue is probably the biggest example of this. Rogue has literally players that don't match well at all, and they just look like complete shit.
I know. I
None
think
of those players match
I
at all stylistically.
I think their roster needs to get nuked. Like and like I think their roster just needs to get nuked. I think Larson. I think Larson would be better. He needs to. I think Larson would be better on Heretics personally. That would be a huge upgrade.
Yeah. Whew.
But like,
Uh
yeah, that's a perfect example of some.
Vitality. Oh, speaking of Vitality, guys, Vitality did not just their year is over. And like I agree with Dom, where like it just kind of feels like some of these orgs just don't give a fuck anymore. Like, well, Vitality's always been bad. Like specifically just for Vitality, they've always been bad. They've always stunk. The first year that you started watching, I think it was 2017. You started watching. That's the first year they
2018.
came. 2018, 2017 they came in dog shit. 2018 is the only year they ever went to Worlds. That year they didn't even win any splits. That's like their best year. I mean, They lost to Splice in the third place match. Then they also won a third place match because they lost a chance to go to the finals. Even that year is decently scuffed. But factor in, they swapped out Gilius for Kikis that year just to save their season, and Kikis made them better. Only to not do well at Worlds, but like they did better than expected at Worlds. Only to then put in Mowgli because Yamato Cannon saw him do well in scrims. So he thought, I'll just replace my jungler, my English-speaking jungler for my Korean one, and that'll be an upgrade. And it's like, and you guys know that was awful. 2020 doesn't count. That's just wash year. Just doesn't count for anything. 2021 was pretty bad up until they had that leader self-made roster. They brought that Fnatic team to 5 games. That didn't work out for them. That was when they had LeBron and
Crown
Kong.
shot.
It was Crown Shot and LeBron. Right, yeah. Still didn't get it done then. 2020, that's 2020. 2022, all the Perk Super Team. Remember they had self-made, threw him out for Haru for a split. They even announced they're throwing Haru out after the split to get Bo. Haru did okay. Well, he did okay for them. They still look really, really bad. 2022, Neon Bo, bad. Just
Photon.
all bad. Everything looks horrible. Nothing with this org is good ever.
I feel bad for Mac and Pad though because they I think the problem is VTO is not as good as we thought he was.
I never thought he was really that good. I thought he was just good in that specific meta. It was just Akali and Yumi. Like people were saying he was as good as Caps, and I was like, there's just no way. You can see it. He's not. We see it this split. He's all he like the same thing you said about Hansama. He can only play Akali,
Zoe.
LeBlanc, and Zoe. And Zoe's not in the meta, and he plays with other champions somewhat decently. And we saw him play Yone. That was a tragedy. He's not good himself. He's like okay. He'll have an let's way of saying it. He'll look good every other so often. He's like an all right player. He's not a player you can win a championship. And then Vitality, Mac. The only thing I blame Mac and the other guy for is they took Hylissang. Hylissang ran it down. Hylissang's been running it down for years at this point. Hylissang has not been good since like what 20. Yeah, he had that breakout split in 2022 spring, but outside of that, he's looked pretty bad for a long time. He looked horrible this year. He's not looked good at all. Last year, I don't think he even had a good game. He hasn't had a good game this year either. He's just been running it himself. Like, they deserve this. Like, they can't do well with money. They can't do well with unknown talent. Vitality is just a shit. Vitality is literally what G2 in Bizarro World. Because G2 came in, they won everything. Vitality came in, they've never won anything. They've been just shit the whole time. G2's been the best the whole time. Vitality's been the worst the whole time. What do you do? Vitality means, guys, to vitalize yourself. It means to, you get some energy in you. Vitality's where career goes to die.
Bring back Taken.
Guess who else? Guess who else chose Taken? Vitality did.
And they
went 3-15.
Bring back Cabo Shard.
Are you trying to give me a heart attack?
Yeah.
And guess what Karmine Corp did? Karmine Corp was like, what's the name? Kometo. Fuck. That guy was like, just bring in Seiken. Did you not see this guy in Vitality when he played?
He has 4 EM Master titles though.
Shut up. Just stop it. Fuck off.
How many EM Masters does Faker have?
Stop. Hey man. Faker has a World Cup now. Oh shit. Oh god. But yeah, I'm sorry guys. Why wear this? Because I like buying the esports jerseys, even for teams that I'm not a fan of. I look good for the ladies, honestly. But just Vitality sucked, guys. Ever since they came in, they've stunk. They've had 2018, best year they ever had, and they also failed at the very crucial moments to win. I really don't know what to do at this point. They did everything. Now you just get the fuck out. No, I'm being honest. Just leave. They can't do anything. What else do you do at this point now? I really don't know.
I think you just nuked the roster.
They did that before. I hate you. They did that many times. Nothing works. Nothing. They changed coaching staffs. They changed sports psychologists. They changed the chefs. Man, they changed the fucking chefs.
Remember,
it doesn't work.
Think about this. SK was pretty mid-tier for like the last.
And what did they do? They started upgrading their roster piece by piece. They had the little decent shit going for them last year. They're like, you know what? This is good, but let's upgrade again piece by piece to be at the point where they got now. First split, they got first. And since, that's the first split they got first since I started watching the ULCS back in 2015.
2015.
Crazy.
That's 9 years ago.
Crazy. And, SK's been also relevant somewhat, throughout their careers. And Vitality's just bad. Like, I really just don't know how you fix them. It's over. Like, that's why I stopped caring if they did well. Like certain rosters for them, they have like super teams. People would think like they will win the split. I was like, wait a minute. Why am I drinking this Kool-Aid? I've already seen this.
Bring back Jack Troll.
Fuck it. What's that French guy that was on Karmine Corp? Who was on Team BDS before YuGiOh? What's his name? Oh my god. Oh, it's the French guy. He always goes off on Twitter. I forget his name. Oh my god. Syncroft. Yeah. Might as well put Syncroft on your roster at this point.
I think the problem that when I don't know what you do for Vitality. I feel bad.
There's nothing. Just get out. Just burn it. Just get out. What do you do, man? They did everything. Everything you're gonna say they did. What do you do at that point? You tried everything. I just don't know.
I mean, we've had bad orgs finally get good after a while. So I mean,
how many more years you want me to wait, man? How many more years?
I'm not even a Vitality fan. I'm a SK. You know this.
I know, but how many more? It's like with James Harden, man. How many more years we gotta wait for this guy to win something?
I've been an SK fan since like 2019. Like, come on, like, and we had
roster.
We had Self-Made and Crown Shot on the same team.
And Period. Remember Period? Oh god.
Like, come on, like I've been through a lot. Like, so I know, but
it just pains me to see an org that I've literally watched come in since the very beginning, even through like the best of threes that LEC used to do, and have just never been good under any circumstance.
Would you rather Astralis back taking their spot?
What's the difference between them? It's the same shit, man. What's the difference?
Yeah, I guess you're not wrong. So.
The Vitality, like, yeah, they've gotten first place in some splits, but that ain't meant to anything, Well, people are like, they got first last year. Great, congratulations, first in the regular season. I'm red carpet. Fuck. You know? Once you bend me over and fuck me, apparently. Like, what the hell? Like, what do you guys want me to do with this information? I don't know. I'm glad Rogue and Vitality are gone. These scores stink. Like, Rogue went from winning the LEC to Turbo running it to 9th. I'm sorry, 10th, specifically 10th.
All right. Well, I think we've wrapped this up pretty well.
Yeah. So I just, man, and Noah is still a fat fuck. He'll always be fat fuck Noah forever. When did the LEC return? It comes back this week, right?
I can let you know right now. It returns the
week.
12th.
The 12th.
Yeah. And
that's
the first.
This week. Okay, that's this week. Okay.
Yeah. So the first game is going to be SK versus Team Heretics, and I think, and Fnatic versus Giant X. So.
Hey, man, I'm just saying, SK better not lose that.
No, they won't. I don't think they lose that.
I'm back on the horse for SK. Hope they don't disappoint me.
Hey, get off that horse. There's only I'm a true fan. I've always been an SK fan. You know this, so
I think there's a good shot for them to make Worlds potentially. They play their cards right, but they did well in other splits, so they definitely have championship points of getting to season finals. That's not the problem. I just don't think they lose to Team Heretics. I just don't. But then again, they lost randomly to Vitality earlier this year, so I guess anything's possible. You know, these matches are really horrible, man. Look at this. After this, you have BDS versus Mad Lions, Fnatic versus Giant X, and G2 versus Carmine Corp. G2 versus Carmine Corp might be the most lopsided fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
I'll tell you it right now. SK's beating Heretics. Giant X is beating Fnatic. BDS is beating MDK. And I think KC can beat G2, believe it or not. That's my picks.
All right. I'm going to go get my ass eaten by a homeless lady.
Okay.
So, but yeah, man. Anything you want to chill before we wrap it up here, actually?
Yeah, I think the only thing I gotta say is I thought this was a nice little segue before Worlds and into the splits for the teams, and it's nice to see this sort of small, quick tournament because I'm gonna be honest with you, I missed the IEMs. I thought they were like nice tournaments to see second place teams or third place teams show that they can still play and get it's good international experience, and I hope more places do stuff like that. That's all I gotta really say.
Yeah, for me, it's something that I always say for people. When you have teams that are as good as Top Esports and BLG and Gen G and T1, you have to understand, just because one of those teams or several of these teams can beat each other, that doesn't necessarily make them bad. I really understand what you're saying. Is you're essentially saying that team is bad for losing to another top 4 team in the world. I want, how weird and stupid that sounds. It would make sense that a team like Top Esports could beat T1 and Gen G. If you consider them a top 4 team in the world, that makes perfect sense for that to happen. It shouldn't be out of this realm possibility that it can happen. But the thing you do talk about is how it does happen, like what happens in the actual games. I just don't understand these kind of weird takes people have. Like, if people think T1 is a top 4 team in the world, then it would make sense that they could win this event. I don't even know what level of logic the community even has anymore. It's really weird. Makes no sense. Okay. I just don't get it. People thought BLG could win MSI, so you definitely think they're good by your own logic, But people understand these teams can underperform. I don't know why these teams can underperform. It's not like fucking, not like Jesus or something where they're not all not perfect. I just try to understand how your mindset works with League and try to temper it in certain places. Like if T1 had lost to fucking, I don't know, FlyQuest. Well, that's an upset. Right? Because you don't, in your mind, think of that. You don't consider FlyQuest a top 4 team in the world. You consider T1 a top 4 team in the world, or if BLG had lost to fucking, I don't know,
TL.
Yeah, like that would be an upset, So that's my thing. Also, I think this is good for Faker and T1 because losing to Gen G constantly probably is very frustrating. But to know that they're still good enough to win an event, it's going to be good confidence boosting for them going into Worlds too. And yeah. If Gen G or T1 or BLG or Top Esports win Worlds, then that means the East is king, or just specifically more or less with the LCK is king, and all roads lead back to Faker. But yeah, thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Cloud9 podcast. We'll be back here again this week, coming up at 7 p.m. PST. Probably to talk about, porn, hot ladies, my sex life, right, Warren?
Okay. All right. I'm good.
Well, we'll see you guys later. Hope you guys had a great weekend. More content is dropping on the channel. Hope you guys are really enjoying it. We're closing in on 1,000 subs, and we'll see you guys later.